Okay. Well, thank you for coming, everyone. And I help people with bad backs and digestive disorders, but they often have sleeping problems. And through the things that I teach them, their sleeping improves. So today we're going to talk about rest and relaxation. And what I'm advocating is that you do actually spend some time during the day to rest and relax, because otherwise your brain gets on this roller coaster of having an overexcited nervous system. And then it becomes very sensitive to things, so that when you do go to sleep, sometimes you don't sleep long and you wake up again because that brain is on super alert and it wants to, if a small sound goes, it wakes you up because it thinks it's some danger. And this is why it's good to do some resting and relaxation in the day in order for you to sleep better at night. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah. So there's some top tips on how to rest and relax in the day when we're so busy with our lives. Because often we're given advice and we go, yeah, but how do we do it? And that's the thing that I specialize in. So one of the things that I do is, if I'm driving somewhere or I'm about to come onto a Zoom call, I make it so that I get there a few minutes early, and then I do what I call a hand mudra. So what I call transitions during the day. So when you've done one activity and you're about to start another one, or you've finished an activity, so in the transitions in the day, you can really calm your nervous system. Even just for 2 minutes is better than no minutes. So the hand mudra that I use, I'll tell you two. So if we put our thumb on our ring finger and our middle finger, yeah. So these two, because our thumb is positively charged and our ring finger and little finger, our ring finger and middle finger are negatively charged. So if you just do that, it's a lot easier for you to calm your mind. Yeah. So you can just sit there, connecting to your breathing, and just notice when you're breathing in and out. And when you breathe out, gently increase the pressure. And when you breathe in, release the pressure. So there's a little thing for your mind to hook into. So breathing out, it doesn't really matter which way round you do it. So if you forget, think, oh, which way round was it? It doesn't matter. And you'll find which one works for you. One that works for me best is on the out breath, I'm gently pushing. And on the in breath, I'm releasing. And if we do that for a couple of minutes, it calms our mind down. And that's what I'm talking about this background dial of the stress response. If we're able to turn that down, then it hopefully will help us sleep longer without waking in the night. Yeah. So I've got some questions to ask you, but I know that at the end, you're going to ask me some questions. So what I'll do is I'll just talk you through the other hand mudra and then open it to some questions, because you might have some questions on that. Yeah, is that okay? Yeah, so the other hand mudra, which I find really, really beneficial, is when your brain is racing away, like you're sitting at a dentist and you think, oh my God, it's so hyper. And the hand mudra that I do for that is touching all your fingertips. Yeah. So you can do it really subtly. Yeah. If you're waiting in a waiting room, you might not want to be seen, so you put it on your lap, but you're aiming to have just your fingertips touching. Yeah. And you don't have to move with this one. You can just stay in that position. And over time, it calms your mind. Yeah. Again, you can connect to your breathing, but you don't need to put pressure on this one. You can just sit there with your hands like this. And what it is, our brain, our nervous system, has loads and loads of sensory nerve endings at the end of our fingertips. Our hands and our feet and our head have a very high proportion of sensory nerve endings, so that it really stimulates your brain, but in a calming way, because you're just sitting there and your brain is then reporting back to this sensation. Yeah. So it helps you focus your mind into a calm state. Yeah, so if anyone's been doing this while I've been talking, you might notice that you feel like there's a little buzz at the end of your fingertips. Yeah. And that's your nervous system becoming more aware of the contact, and you receiving energy, because our body emits infrared light. So you're reflecting it back into your body. And that helps you produce more stem cells. So it is a very calming and yet stimulating. It stimulates the rest and digest nervous system rather than stimulating the fight flight. Yeah. So this one you could do while you're lying in bed, but it might not be as comfortable. You might be the sort of person that likes to curl themselves up into a ball. But you could do the first hand mudra, which was this one, because you can curl your index finger in, and you can just have your hands, are you lying on your side? Yeah. Another thing is that you can do these hand mudras when you're on Zoom calls. Yeah. They're accessible during the day. Yeah, and it calms your fight flight system. Yeah, so has that been helpful? Shall we open it up for questions now, and then I can... Has anyone got any questions?
I've got a question. How long should you do the other one that you showed us, where you...
This one?
Yeah.
I don't think you can overdo it. Yeah. You might want to do it. I think that your arms will probably fatigue before you overdo it. So yeah. There might be an activity that distracts you, so you go and do that, and then you disconnect, and then you can come back here.
And does it matter how high you put it? Can you put it low?
No, you can put it on your lap. I'm just putting it up there so that you see it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So those are the two things we can do during the day to help us kind of calm our nervous system. Yeah. And also, if we remember, we can do them at night as well, can't we? Like, if we can't sleep.
Yeah, so I do these if my mind is too active while I'm trying to get to sleep. I do those. I sit up in bed.
Okay.
It's good to actually sit up and do them if your mind's really active.
Okay.
Because that accelerates the sleeping routine. Because if you go straight to bed and lie down and your mind's active, your mind just carries on the active thing. Whereas if you break it into another activity and you do something just calming, and then you go to the next step, so your body then starts saying, "Oh, right, let's produce some more sleeping hormones so that we can then finally go to sleep." Yeah. So there are two activities that you can do.
Yeah.
Sitting up, accessible. But on Thursday night, at 7:15 now, I do what I call the stillness technique, where we're lying down. So this is a lying down technique.
Yeah.
And people who come to that, we just lie down for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I guide them through some relaxation through their
Yeah.
body, through their mind. So they're not really moving that much. It's all
Yeah.
through their mind.
Yeah.
And they often report that they sleep well after that, even though in
Lovely.
that 20 minutes they say, oh, I nearly fell asleep.
Yeah.
You see, and that's this principle of, if we turn the dial down on the fight flight response in us,
Yeah.
and start stimulating the rest and digest,
Yeah.
then we get to have a deeper sleep, and a sleep that's not interrupted through the night as much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's practice, isn't it? That's what I find. I find that the more I practice these things, the easier they get, and the more my body seems to kind of relax more. That's what I find.
Exactly. So that's a really good point. So our body stores hormones. And so if we start doing a regular routine, your body thinks, right, well, I'm going to prepare the hormones in advance. So it anticipates it and stores it in your liver and spleen, so that when you engage in that activity, it just draws it from there. So it's a quicker process. And this is why it's really key that you get into a routine with your practice, so that your body, it's just like exercise. You know, if you do regular exercise, your body starts building muscle. And so the body will build stocks of hormones for you in your liver and spleen, and storing it in various places. So it's much more easy to access, because all our bodily functions requires on hormones. Yeah. So is that helpful?
Yeah, very helpful. Do we have any other questions or comments? I could ask more questions, but I'll let someone else have a go.
Yeah. Has anyone got any questions? Are you all okay with the little practical that we did with the fingers? Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Is there something that you do at the moment, or is this really something quite new? Have you got a routine that you do at the moment that maybe you could piggyback this on? No? Someone putting something in the chat? Yeah, so that's what I say to people, that rather than think, oh, I have to do all these new habits, we look at your existing routine and then we say, right, let's piggyback that on that, so that your mind doesn't think you're doing anything extra. It just thinks, oh, well, I'll just do that. Yeah. And then the other technique that I suggest to people is, when they want to change a habit, is chunking it down. Keep breaking the thing down into a smaller and smaller thing until you think, that is achievable, I could do that. And then you build another one on top of that. So one of my things that I had, generally I sleep well, but when I was going through the perimenopause, and at certain times in the life that I think most people had, you know, when we still started going through COVID for the first time, I would wake up with the tiniest sound. And then, because I'd woken up in the night, all my demons come out about worrying about all sorts of things. And so I would do my finger thing. I'd do a yoga nidra. That was the other thing I'd do. And then I started to do this thing where I just pinch the side of my fingers and go through all 10. So it's a bit like counting sheep, you could say, because you're going through 10. But because you're pinching the sides of your fingers, it releases energy that's flowing through you. And then you just start again. And then you do it with the breathing. So you just correlate it with the breath, either in or out. So your brain has to count or not count, be aware of your breathing. Yeah. And you just keep doing that. And eventually your brain says, oh, I'm bored of that. I'll just go to sleep now. Yeah. So that's another one that you just keep doing over and over again. Yeah. And often I feel, if I did have a bad night's sleep, then doing something, if you've got up, you've got into doing your morning routine and you think, right now I've got 5 minutes before the day starts, you do one of those. You just sit and do a hand mudra just for 5 minutes, because it gives you that deep rest again. Yeah. And as you practice this, it becomes more accessible to you. That deep rest becomes more accessible to you. That's the key thing. So because our mind will say, oh, I haven't got time for that, or oh, I forgot this, and it gets distracted. You need to say, well, I'm going to do this like I brush my teeth, like I already do a habit. So I usually get up, have a shower, get my clothes on. You want to make it that kind of basic habit thing. And then I'm going to do this 5 minute hand mudra or whatever you're currently doing. And you get into a routine of doing it. And then your body will anticipate it and start making the hormones in advance. I think that's the key thing. Yeah. So is that helpful?
Yeah, very helpful.
Right. I'm not going to do any more hand mudras because you'll go away and you won't remember any of them.
Yeah. So just to recap.
Yeah, just to recap. So it's ring finger and middle finger onto your thumb, because your thumb is the most positively highly charged, because we're always doing stuff with our thumb. So a quick way to calm the mind is to put your thumb on your ring finger and your middle finger. Yeah, and then if you wanted to, you could correlate it with your breathing. So on the out breath, I gently press a bit harder, and on the in breath, I release. It doesn't matter which way round. Yeah.
So can we practice that for 1 minute? Is that okay?
Yeah, you want to practice this one for 1 minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just
Don't
set
have
my
to have these
timer.
2 fingers up, but I do it as a part of a brain gym thing. Yeah, so correlating it with your breathing. Out breath, gently pressing. In breath, releasing. And while we're doing this, you could also allow your neck to soften, shoulder blades to drop back. And that takes the pressure off your vagus nerve, which is also helping you reawaken the rest and digest nervous system.
That's it. Minute's over. Thank you. It's really good because I mean, all of us practice it for 1 minute. If we can do it for 1 minute, hopefully we can go home and do it for another minute when we need it.
Yeah.
Or just do it like if you even if you think about it, just quickly do it. So that's a kind of like a tiny habit, isn't it? That we can start just doing it. Just do it like
it.
just do it. Just do it.
It's great for your brain gym as well. Over time you can start straightening the other fingers.
It looks a bit like a rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So the other one you were saying is that one. Yeah. So can we practice that for 1 minute as well, please? Sorry.
Yeah, so
to be
this
so
is the
insistent.
one where you feel a bit more powered by it. So if we just do it for 1 minute then.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to, you could do the breathing on this one as well. So on the out breath, gently, very gently, just putting a little bit of pressure on. In breath, taking the pressure off. Allow your neck to
Brilliant.
soften
Thank
as
you very
well.
much. So that's it. That's a minute now. So a couple of things I wanted to talk about as well is a couple
Yeah,
about 3 weeks ago, a lady said that she was tired and wired, and she found it really difficult to kind of wind down because she was on the go all the time. And then when
yeah,
she's kind of lying down, she finds it difficult to sleep because she's kind of too really uptight. So those are the things that people can do when they feel tired and wired, and me as well. Like, if I'm,
yeah.
for instance, if I'm driving on and I'm really busy and I can't, it's like the traffic jam. Every so often, I will slow down my breathing and I'll kind of take deeper breaths because, I've got somewhere to go and it's out of my control because there's roadworks or something. So those are the kind of things we can do when we feel really tired and wired. And as you said before, maybe going to the dentist and things like that. So they're tools that are available to us when we remember, and we can make small notes for ourselves to say, if you're tired and wired, do the hand thing or do the other thing or slow down your
Mm.
breathing so that it not only helps with sleep, it helps with stress as well. So those are the things that we can do when we're tired and wired. Do you have anything else to say about that? Being tired and wired, Alison?
Well, I think that's the thing. Wired is the key word you're
Yeah.
talking about there. You can't stop. You're just your brain is going physically, you're not stopping. And that's why this one's really good because
Oh,
you are
good.
still
Yeah.
moving. You keep moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
And you can do it quite fast. And over time, you might find it slows down.
Lovely.
Yeah. And again, it's an accessible thing. You could do it in a traffic jam.
Lovely.
And then if you link it with the breathing. So it's as
Lovely.
if you've got to marry up with the same speed at which
Yeah.
you're wired at the moment,
Yeah.
and then just gradually bring that one side, and then this side comes down.
Okay.
So
So can we do the third one for 1 minute, please?
okay.
Thank you.
So you're doing the size of your fingers.
Oh, thank you.
That's where the energy comes to the surface. So I always start on the little finger. I just started on my thumb then. So little finger first.
Mm.
So I've also used this for pain relief as
Mm.
well.
Okay.
Is that a minute now? No?
No, 7 seconds more.
7 seconds more. Over time, a minute will go quicker.
Yeah, that's it. That's a
Yeah.
minute. Brilliant. That's really good. I'm glad we did that. So we've
Yeah.
got the thing, the one that looks like a rabbit. We've got the together one, and then the side of the hands,
The side of the fingers.
the
Side of
fingers. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, so
wait,
it's not like on top of the nail and
no,
underneath. It's the
it's a
side.
side. Thank you. That's really
Yeah.
useful. Thank
Yeah.
you. Brilliant. Now we've done
Okay.
all three for 1 minute each. It should be hopefully easier to just even do it. Even if we just do that while we're watching television, or if
Yeah.
we do
You can
that
do.
if we have a bad phone call or something. As long as we're doing something that's positive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah. I think that's I mean, if you're able to move around more and it's been an awful phone call or something, sometimes you have to do something a bit more physical.
Yeah.
But then when you come back, then you might want to do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's this thing of you could be walking along,
Yeah.
but have your fingers like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, great.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So can you please put your
Oh,
Thursday
yeah.
information in the chat? And also, if anyone has any more questions, comments, anything else that you want to put, please put it in the chat. I'm just going to stop the recording now as well. So